Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the SpotOn Spotlight, where we have candid conversations with leaders in business. I'm really excited for today's guest. He's a guy that I've gotten to meet and connect with over the last year, who's really leading a movement in Cincinnati inside the fractional leadership space. And without any further ado, I want to introduce you to Ford Knowlton. Ford, thanks for joining me today.
Hey, thanks for having me in. This is awesome.
So, Ford, you're in the brand new kind of launch of this company, Work with Meaning. Tell me what is Work with Meaning and kind of what's your role with that and why'd you start it?
Yeah, thanks. Absolutely. Well, work with meaning is really like my answer to a big shift I saw happening. Um, in a nutshell, it's like it's businesses are trying to find new ways of finding leadership. Uh, they're trying to find creative ways to be more impactful to the growth and success of their companies, and they're having sometimes more limited resources or constraints. And so they're finding fractional leadership to be a really great way to grow their business without having all the cash, maybe all the cash they want to have on hand for an executive. Um, but it's also connected to a movement where there are a lot of executives that spent 20, 30 years building their careers in large corporations or at the executive role in companies, and they realize they want to have their own practice and their own flexibility, and they want to have their own choice kind of in who they work with and how they work.
I love the fractional movement. We've worked with two fractional companies slash people. We work, our accountant and outsourced CFO is fractional, and we've worked with an outsourced or a fractional CMO. So being able to pull those both in on your team when you need them is a really good advantage, because I don't need a CMO full time or a CFO, but I want that experience for a little bit each month to help me kind of boost my business and bring that in. And it's great for them because they get to kind of pick and choose their clients and who they work with, and like you said, take that experience in some new places.
100%. I couldn't say it better myself.
So this is kind of a big shift that we're seeing. So this fractional executive market, from what I've seen, has really kind of doubled in just the 2 years that it's kind of been on the scene. Worth about $6 billion now. What's driving this explosive growth, and why do you think the future of leadership really falls in that fractional space?
Yeah, I think here's the deal. I think fractional executive market basically blew up because businesses were waking up to and getting smarter about leadership. They're not just trying to do what they saw other companies do for the last 100 years. Instead, they're kind of getting more open and creative. Instead of hiring a full time at a massive cost, where there's a lot of executives cost $300,000 to $400,000 for a FTE, you can get the top tier executives that you can't even afford uh, for a fraction of that cost. So imagine you're a business, you're trying to grow, and leadership is definitely an area that is kind of the wall that you're running into. And what if I told you that a $60,000 kind of employee could be the most powerful impact to your growth of your company? And that's what a fractional executive is. Instead of you know somebody who's an incredible genius at an aspect of leading a business, you're not paying for their time, you're paying for the impact they can make. And so that person could make just as big of an impact, maybe at a fourth of the amount of time that a full-time employee might be in there, because maybe they've taken a company from point A to point B that you're trying to go into 5 times before, and they know exactly how to do it. And they love being able to make that impact and experiencing the ability to go into a business and transform it and change the lives of the company and the employees and help the community like that. These people really love that the impact is such an important part of it for them. And they also like, it gives them more meaning to the work they're doing. They're not just uh, they're not just a vendor that's or trying to deliver a service. They really build relationships. At least the fractional executives that I spent a lot of time with, extremely relational and impact focused.
Yeah. We've worked with Amy Connor, who does CMO on Loan, and that was something she had said. She's like, I started having all these people. She came from IMES and P&G and Luxottica. And she's like, I had all these people come up to me like, I want your firepower, but I don't need it all the time. So that fractional model fits so well for companies to have someone like that come in. You've called this a moment of fundamental restructuring in how businesses access leadership. What are you seeing as like economic, cultural, or even technology forces that are pushing this movement really forward right now?
Yeah, today it's a perfect storm. If you think about how much companies are under pressure right now to run more lean or agile, culturally, there's a big shift towards value, work, life balance, personal meaning. People are not as just okay with being treated like crap as long as they get paid on time. And I think technologically, remote work really made huge advancements after COVID, and there's a lot of digital platforms now, and it's just that was the biggest thing that really transformed and made this become a prominent thing to do. But now that we're past all that, I think that it's creating almost like an epiphany for the entire country where we're realizing, you don't need to have 8 or even 4 maybe full-time employee executives to have a really healthy, mature business. If you're under 100 million in revenue, if you're over a million in revenue, like you might benefit from having a fractional CFO or a CM or a fractional CMO. And there now are maybe 12 or 14 different types of specialists that are that leadership tier of partners that can work with you, and they cost a fraction of, they're a fraction of the cost, right? So I think that's the perfect storm. And I think we're human beings, and there's this adoption of what we have never done before. That's always hard for
Right?
us as people.
Scary.
That's where I'm really passionate about. I want to see Cincinnati. I think we are the best city to accelerate adoption of this model, get the most value out of it, and make every small, medium-sized business in Cincinnati and the health and success like stand out compared to all other cities, to kind of showcase the power of fractional leadership when it's really meets maturity in a region.
I love that you talk about how fractional is beneficial to the business, but also to the fractional leader themselves. And one of the things that I've heard you talk about is that burnout and kind of that corporate exodus of some of those fractional leaders being kind of that major force behind this trend as well. What do you see as pushing executives to walk away from traditional corporate life and kind of run towards this fractional work?
Yeah, there's 2 things driving. There's an enormous amount of fractional leaders finding themselves on the market today. They're flooding the market. One, from they're just tired. They're incredible at what they do, and they're tired of just not being valued or being forced to work within an environment that isn't really releasing them to be the best they can be, and it's not really fulfilling for them. And they've built a career, and now they want to have flexibility potentially in their lives. They want to be around their children or their family more. They want to be able to go and do the things they are interested in doing and not have something controlling that. They also really want to feel like the work they're doing resonates with who they are as people more. That enjoying the work you're doing, feeling meaning behind it, hence the name Work with Meaning. Like, I think that's really important right now to the businesses that are interested in working with Work with Meaning, and the fractional executives that are part of the Work with Meaning community. Is they care a lot about the work they do. It's a really important part of their life. It's not just a paycheck. It's their calling, and it's their passion, and they like working with people that feel the same way.
You've had, I know, dozens and dozens of conversations with leaders in the fractional space. How do you see this model helping those people? Kind of like you said, that meaning. But how are you and this work helping them rediscover that meaning, autonomy, and the joy that's in their work?
That's awesome. Yeah, I would love. So over the last 6 months, I've actually had over 350 conversations with fractional executives and business leaders around this topic. And one of the couple of the most clear learnings that I grew just from spending time with all these amazing people and just really diving into life and work and everything with them is one, the businesses, they are networked. They have connections. There's lots of people reaching out to them that want to help them, and they don't have any. There's not there's not a limit of resources available to them, but they want someone they can trust. That's the number one thing they say that they don't have. They want to have people that they know and trust around them that can help them. And you can't, it's really hard to get that when you run your business in a very transactional way. And that's what most options are available. That's what we've all been given, is these resources that are very transactional. Fractional leaders, they what they said, is they love the work they're doing and they love the freedom. They love the control. They're not crazy about sometimes having this like up and down of uh, pipeline of like great companies to work with. Because when you're wearing 18 hats running your own business,
Pretty
it's
stressful.
hard, and there's a lot more ups and downs. And so they're not crazy about that, and they love it if they had like a consistent pipeline of like projects where they're really delivering value with awesome companies that they know they like working with. And they don't like being in isolation. They really want deeper relationships. They don't want to just go to a networking event and meet people casually and they're looking to go deeper and build much more deeper connection with other peers, and build more meaningful relationships too. So at least the fractional executives that are attracted to what we're doing, that's what they're interested in. They don't want to just have gigs. They're trying to build a portfolio of work that really connects with what they want to do with their life and fits into their division of what they want to do. So that's what I love doing. That's my passion. That's what Work with Meaning is hoping to accomplish. And as we roll out in the next few weeks and months what Work with Meaning is going to offer to serve the fractional executives and these businesses, it really comes down to that. Is I really want to help empower these people to go and build the careers that they want with their own businesses, and then also help these businesses not feel like they don't have anyone to trust and like they don't have that network around them that cares.
I think that's an important part of what you're doing and have been doing with Work with Meaning, was really to build that community of leaders. I think that's one thing that's really stood out to me about Work with Me, is that sense of community, of bringing people together to bring that support group. Why is that so important to you? I know you're a huge community builder. You're like one of the best resource connectors I've ever met. Why is community so important to you in this space? And again, kind of what is your long-term goal for helping fractional leaders thrive professionally and personally?
Yeah, thank you for saying that. That's really nice of you to say. I really honestly, I feel like I can't believe that I'm the first person doing this, because I am blown away by who these people are. Like even you're somebody who you support businesses and you do it in a relationship driven way. You care, you are generous to your network and to your clients. You have a long-term mindset. You're trying to not just land a project that feeds you for a couple months and then go find a new one. you're looking for like 10-year or 15-year long client relationships.
Yeah.
And that to me is what I want in life. That's the world I want to live in. And so I'm trying to create it. And I've met a bunch of people as I've been trying to learn how to figure out how to create this for myself. I met all these amazing people that are changing the lives of these companies they work with. And they want that too. And I just built that way. I want to connect everyone. I want everyone to um, be encouraged. Like those are the two things you're going to get from me is I'm going to connect you to people and I'm going to connect you to things that can help you. And I'm going to encourage you. Those are the things that I think is who I am. And I'm trying to figure out ways that I can help this great group of people because they're doing it all over the place. So.
And you and I both know Todd Wilkowski, and I had a recent conversation with him. That's Todd's whole philosophy is, invest in other people, build that community, and then the business will naturally follow.
Yeah, I think not everybody wants to work this way. Work with meaning is really not for everyone. It's for people who though have decided I want to work through relationships. I want to invest into long-term trust-based professional relationships. That's sort of my personal mission in life is to help that happen for the rest of my time working. And this is an experiment really in launching out a way to try to do that more. If I can do that with these fractional executives who I think are the future of work, and there's more people coming into this, the ones that really want to build long-term relationships, that want to invest into the community and be part of a ecosystem that's relationship driven, I want to build that for them and give them that because I think that's really the future of work.
That's awesome. I love that. So I had a quick live question that came in from Dan Keck. He said, Ford, do you see value in multiple fractional executives collaborating and leading within a business?
Yeah, so I have this belief that today about 80% of leadership teams are full-time employees. 20% are usually fractional, and that's like accounting. Maybe there's a couple of other types of leaderships. Consultants can come in and they're sort of a fractional leader partner. Maybe it's a fractional CFO that's involved or a fractional CMO that's involved. I believe the future is going to be an 80-20 flip, where if a company can figure out how to have 20% of their leadership be full-time, and if they had a strong enough, connected enough fractional circle, we'll just call it, around them, a team of fractional executives that all are specialists, know how to be valuable. It's like taking a basketball team, a professional basketball team where there's 5 players and you're hoping those 5 players can win every single game this season, to having an entire bench. And you can pull in players, you can help, you can win way more games with a whole entire bench full of players than 5 players. You'll beat them every time. And that's what I want to create in, like Dan's awesome. And he is great at that. He knows not only how to work with companies to help them find CFOs, but he actually knows, he's trying and he has a vision to give them a solution to help them be successful with where they're taking their companies. And that's where you look at fractional executives as a team to work with you, and not just individuals that you hire to get results around specific things. They're really it's like having an executive team of 12 people that cost the same as having that 4-person full-time executive team.
Yeah. So you mentioned kind of this long-term look at that 80-20 going more fractional on the leadership side. Like, I want to just touch briefly on kind of that dark side of corporate leadership, talking about the toll of burnout that is costing companies thousands per leader in that lost productivity. Why do you think so many corporate environments still struggle to create sustainable, meaningful work? And what can they learn from the fractional model?
I think fundamentally, and this is hard, right? Like you're building a large corporation. You've got thousands of employees. Like we just saw that, like Microsoft and Amazon, Google. I mean, it's like every other day we find out that they're like laying off like 18,000 people at a time. It's because they are building this large thing that it has to be very transactional and it has to be very resource driven. Not all companies have to work that way. And it's not always the best way to get the best outcome, especially long term. When you are one of those people that are like in that system, you realize you don't matter. You know, you may be bringing a ton of value, but you're just, at the end of the day, you're just part of that system. There's something incredibly personal when you go in and work with a small business that has hit a wall and they have not been able to be profitable for 2 years. And you know, as a CFO, you transform that business and help them get healthy to where they're not just trying to keep the lights on, but they're thriving. It's not transactional. It's a very personal thing for that company. It impacts their family, that the dinner table of the people that are at that company. It's a very personal, relational thing that happens. And fractional leaders that do really well in this space, they care about that. They really there's almost something altruistic about being a fractional executive and going into a company, because you're going to transform that company and change the world for them. And that feels amazing, and you just want to keep doing it. And if you can just keep finding more companies that need what you're great at and you just come in there and do your thing, it's like you go in and you do miracles all day long. It's the best feeling in the world. I can't imagine. I can see why they love it. And companies that realize that it's powerful for them, they get hooked on it too. They're like, oh, wow, we just hired this fractional CFO. It's amazing for us. Now we're looking at what else can we fractionalize? Like, you talk to these companies and they're like, maybe I'll fractionalize myself and I'll get out of the way and I'll let somebody else come in and do that. Like, it's pretty awesome, right? So
it's a big change.
How many people in Amazon right now are like talking like that they feel that way? You know, not a ton of them, you know?
Yeah.
So, especially when there's a lot of pressure and layoffs, there's not a lot of psychological safety when there's 18,000 employees being, you know, dismissed from this big company. It's not a personal thing for them. It's just, they have to run this business. And I think people want to have a personal side to the work they're doing. And this is a great way for them to do it. If they value these things, they're going to really love fractional work, and they can help a lot of companies.
The thing I like about fractional too, that you kind of alluded to, is if you're an internal resource, you don't always know what you don't know. The fractional executive brings this diversity of experiences where it could even be different industries, different companies. So they've had these experiences across the board that they can bring in and see maybe where you have a blind spot in your company and say, hey, what about this? Or what about, have you tried that? So I like that piece of fractional, bringing in just this diversity of experiences that are above and beyond what maybe you would normally have with an internal full-time person.
That's a great way of looking at it. Fractional can be a really multifaceted tool. And I'm going to give you a couple of ideas on that. Hiring a fractional executive, sometimes you might have a full-time COO or a full-time CFO. Having a relationship with some fractional CFOs or COOs on top of that, it gives you added bandwidth. Imagine there's an acquisition you're getting ready to go through with a business, and the CFO is working around the clock. They usually have to like get stuff off their plate, and they don't get to do all their responsibilities because they're trying to take care of the most important things. Having a fractional CFO that could come in and support that full-time CFO can be really powerful. And it's great to have just options. Sometimes your COO gets poached and they went to a new job and you don't have any idea what to do. Imagine having a relationship with a fractional COO already, and that COO knows how to just step in, bring value. You already have that trust and relationship built. and they can help you, one, like kind of help where things are today. But that COO is going to be very valuable in hiring a full-time replacement. And they're used to that. They don't want to be there full-time. They like being fractional. They like the variety. They like being able to do what they're great at. And they can really, having a really great COO hire your next COO is a really good idea. So there's a multifaceted value of fractional executives. They're not just great. They're not just a cost-effective way to get leadership on your team. I don't think that's a very short-sighted way of looking at them. They are going to give you so much more mobility and ability to execute. And I'm committed to helping more businesses understand how they can kind of get a competitive advantage over everyone else by just having a great fractional team around them.
And kind of building on what you just said too, I think there's multiple ways you can engage with fractional executives as well. Like you said, if you have a gap because somebody's left, you can fill that gap. They can also train the new person. They can bring that new person up to speed. You can bring them in for project work. Like you said, I don't have the bandwidth. I need help with this specific project. You can bring them in for a project. And they build familiarity with your company over time. You've kind of got them as this sidecar that, if you need help here and there, you can just kind of bring them in and out. Like you said, bring them in and on and off the court as you need additional help for your team. So there's a lot of different ways that you can engage with fractional talent as well.
Yeah. Here's something to think about. Fractional executives are incredible. You probably could never hire them full time if you wanted to. You probably couldn't afford them, and they wouldn't care enough to do just that one thing for you. But they are available to you at a fraction of the cost, and they can be just as valuable as a full-time executive if they're leveraged the right way and they have the right kind of relationship with you. Think about a restaurant, and if I'm launching this restaurant, and I could have one of the top 5 chefs in the world spend one day a month with me working on my menu, on the experience of the restaurant, on the ingredients and how I source them. That one day a month probably is more valuable than a lot of full-time chefs that are available to me locally. And so I think that's how you should think about fractional executives. They're incredible people that can do a ton to bring instant change to your company. And they might be one of the lowest cost employees in your whole business at some level. And they're just looking for companies that need them, that give them the amount of trust and support to go and do their thing and be powerful and impactful. And they want to feel the impact of what they do. And, that money is not really at the end of the day the main driver. And the role isn't really the main driver. It's it's the impact, and it's the autonomy, and it's the kind of meaning that they're getting from their work that they're looking for. And you might be able to, be the lucky receiver of that transformation in your business because you recognize that and you let them in.
I love that chef example. It's somebody that can come in on the 30,000 foot view when you're stuck in being the line cook and cutting the ingredients and getting the orders out. Somebody that can have that very high level and help you kind of get all the pieces to work better together, or bring that extra knowledge, expertise that you might not have or even have the time to consider. So what's one story or insight that captures the heart of why this movement matters, both for leaders and the companies that they serve? Do you have a good example of that?
I have so many. I mean, I haven't met a ton of people outside of Cincinnati. Most of the fractional executives I've met so far are local, but I'm starting to meet a lot more across the city. We, I think, have a very unique population of fractional executives here in Cincinnati that want to bring more of a human side of the work into the things that they do. And I really think that the fractional movement is about just doing things because it makes more sense is one piece of it. It's about these people want to have autonomy over how they live their lives, and they want to be able to live the lifestyle they want, and they want to be able to work the way they want, and they want to create the business, the work that they want to do every day, and they can. Fractional leadership gives them ability to have that kind of control where they never had that at a large corporation. And businesses, I think there's a lot of businesses changing hands where companies are passing down their businesses to their next generation, or they're selling them, or there's a change that's happening. And I think people are not, they're open to creative solutions to change their companies and make them way more effective. And so that's at the heart of it all, I think, is it's like people are open to change, and they're open to trying to live more into what makes sense and what makes them be able to live their lives and be more human in the way they work.
That's awesome. So what's the road ahead look like? What's work with meaning look like 5 years down the road? What do you want to be doing? What's the Cincinnati work with meaning with Ford Knowlton look like in 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, well, I just went full time launching work with meaning right now. We're in the phase of inviting people to join the wait list, be part of the newsletter, and kind of sharing the story behind how I've arrived where I am. I had those 351 conversations, and I want to share like what I learned from that and the powerful things that I experienced from all of these amazing people that I've gotten a chance to talk to, and just kind of deciding like I want to spend all my energy figuring out how to support all these people, these businesses and also these fractional executives. I want to figure out how to be a resource to help them find connection and help them find more meaning in the work they do. And then, so you, and if you want to, if you or anyone else wants to follow that newsletter and follow this as it evolves, I think in the next weeks and months, we're going to launch officially. And I think that will give you some clarity on where we're going in the next 5 years. But I think I can say from a mission at the highest level, I believe that the future of work is relational and fractional. And everything I do is going to be centered around those two things.
Well, I think you're off to a good start. We had a couple people that chimed in. Keith said Ford is the GOAT community builder, which means you're doing something well. Amy Connor said, thanks for all you're doing to support business in our community. And then Tracy Ruber said she's honored to be working with 2 other fractional for a client and loving it. So there's a really good community. I think that you really helped start build in Cincinnati.
These are all the amazing people that are in our city doing this. I know each of those people, and I would call them if I had something terrible happening in my personal life, and I know they would come and help me. I would share personal celebration stuff, and they would just cheer and celebrate with me. Like, these are not only like incredible people who have done amazing stuff already in their lives, but they're just like the best humans in the world. So that is what Cincinnati has. And I don't know if everyone has it. I don't know if we just have a high density of it, but I think there are people even in other cities like Atlanta or LA that are seeing what we're doing here, and they're saying, Ford, like, I want to do this here. I want what you have here. I want to be connected with other fractionals the way that you all have it. So we've got something really special here, and I'm hopeful that we can figure out ways of helping more people have this, because it's just a wonderful thing. So thanks a lot, Ian. Appreciate it.
I think it starts with great vision, insight, and leadership. You got to have somebody that's steering that. And I think you're doing a fantastic job of that, Ford. So thank you for being that person here in Cincinnati.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah.
So last question I got for you. What's the best piece of business advice that you've ever received?
I mean, I think it's focus on the relationship first, and everything kind of comes from there. That's been a really important thing that I think I've learned, and it takes time to learn how to do that the right way. There's been times where I've been really good at relationships, and there's been times where I'm not really good at relationships. I've really hurt people and over my journey of becoming a mature person in relationships. We all are growing, we all are making mistakes, and I think that someone has told me, like, learn how to be good at relationships, learn how to be a good friend. That is one of the most valuable things you can do in life. And I definitely am, as I'm getting older in life, I feel fulfillment, even when things are really difficult in life and challenges come up. Having great friends and having great relationships is maybe the most, like, it settles the waters. It helps you also accomplish a lot in your work when you're building something or you're working in a business. So yeah, that would be it.
That's awesome. I think as people, we're meant to be in community and build relationships with other people. So that's huge. Where can people find you, Ford? Where can they connect with you online? How can they get in touch?
Yeah, I love meeting people. I love connecting and hearing, like, learning about people. And I'm always open to people reaching out to me to connect. You can find me on LinkedIn, of course. You can learn more about Work With Meaning at our website. It's workwithmean.ing. And also I'll send you that link to the landing page for people to sign up for that wait list for the official launch of Work With Meaning's kind of 2.0.
Okay.
And those are great ways to do it. I think that those are the three best ways.
Perfect. Well, Ford, thank you so much for joining me today. I think this was a fantastic conversation, lots of really good learnings, and I love the vision that you're creating. So thank you for taking the time to share that with me.
Thank you. And you're awesome, man. It's been great getting to know you over the last year, and I appreciate you wanting to. I'm definitely uncomfortable right now. It's weird getting someone asking you a bunch of questions about you, but this was really fun, and you made it a lot easier than it usually would be for me to do something like this. So thank you.
Well, good. That means I'm doing my job well.
I feel safe with you. So thank you. Yeah.
Well,
that's
thanks,
great.
Ford. I appreciate it. All right.
Awesome.
Well, if you've enjoyed today's episode of the SpotOn Spotlight, help us out by hitting the follow button on Spotify so you don't miss the next inspiring conversation. And if something in today's episode resonated with you, share it with a friend or a colleague who'd get value from it as well. We appreciate the follows, shares, and helping spread the word, because great ideas are better when they're shared. Thank you again for joining us on the SpotOn Spotlight. We are working to shine a light on what makes business better, one story at a time. Thank you.